All right, how's everybody out there in Math Magic Land doing? This is Mr. Muscarella, and we're going to take a look at our second example of writing a polynomial in factored form and standard form given the roots. All right, so we've got these zeros here. So if you haven't seen the first video, make sure you go back and watch that. But here we go in our second video. So we're going to take a look at this problem right here. So here we've got polynomial function with zeros of x equals 1 and x equals -3 halves. Write it in both factored form and standard form. So the first thing we're going to want to do, so f of x is our function, right? So we're going to write that down. One of our factors is going to be x minus 1, but the second factor here, this is where you're going to have to be really careful. A lot of people are going to write it like this, x plus 3 halves. And I'm going to tell you now that that's incorrect. The way that you should write that in factored form is going to be x minus 1. And then I know a lot of times people will learn this technique called slide and divide. And this is why people always will get this wrong, because they don't really understand what's going on when they're using that technique. They make a careless mistake. So if I were to slide that 2 up, then I'm going to have 2x plus 3. So that right there, that is our factored form. So the factored form has no fractions in it whatsoever, all integer coefficients in front of your variables, and your numbers are all going to be integers as well. So that's our factored form. Now, in order to write this as a polynomial, we're just simply going to use the distributive property here to do that. A lot of people say FOIL. So if I take x, and again, multiply that by 2x, so first term, so that's going to give me 2x squared. X times the outside term, 3, is going to give me plus 3x. And then I move to my second term in the first binomial. The second term is -1, so be careful when you do that. -1 times 2x is going to give me simply, -2x. And -1 times 3 will give me -3. So I'm going to clean that up. So that we just did, we used the distributive property. All right, pretty straightforward stuff there. And then lastly, we're going to go ahead and clean that all up, and we're going to have the polynomial 2x squared plus x minus 3. Now, some people might be able to do that in their head. That's step 2. You might be able to do that in your head. So if you can, cool. But if not, take the time and write it out. I'd rather you get that correct than make a careless mistake and get that incorrect. So now let's go ahead and check this. So the fourth thing that we're going to do is check it. And we're going to use Desmos, of course, to check it. Now in Desmos, what I want you to do is we're going to do 3 things. I want you to put this in the first slot. Then in the second slot, we're going to put this equation here, so our correct factored form. And then we're going to put our very last standard form. So put those 3 things in Desmos. And if you're using a TI-84, you would use y1, y2, and y3 to put those in there. All right, so go ahead, pause the video, get those input into Desmos, and then come on back and let's see how you did. All right, so here are our 3 functions. Now, I'm going to go with the last 2. So I'm going to, that was my standard form version, and this was my factored form version. So I'm going to turn on my factored form and my standard form. Now, notice both of those are the same because one is kind of plopped on top of the other. We can't see anywhere on here where it changes, so that's kind of a cool thing. That's pretty cool. So that's a good thing. But here's what I want you to notice. If I click on and turn on the function for the first one that had the x plus 3 halves, that fraction in it, notice what happens here. So let me kind of zoom that out a little bit. And then I'm going to turn on the function. Boom. Not the same thing, bro. So be careful when you write that. Be careful that when you do that, you are taking your time and not incorrectly stating x plus 3 halves as one of the factors. Because remember, your factors, they need to be linear in nature, and so we're going to write that as x minus 1, and then the other factor is going to be 2x plus 3. So again, take your time, use Desmos to check, and check yourself before you wreck yourself, because I wouldn't want to see you make a mistake. That is a very easy one to make, but now that you're aware of it, be very mindful of not making that. All right, so that's it for this video. I will catch up with you guys later. Have an awesome day. Peace out.